has posted the statement from the Iranian government that passage in the Strait will be coordinated with Iran's armed forces. As of today, who controls the Strait of Hormuz?
Wait, did you catch that look on her face? The White House press secretary is literally finding out about global shipping routes in real time while the cameras are rolling. This isn't just a bad day at the office. It's a total strategic collapse. You need to see how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Though another round of peace talks.
Well, they said they want to escalate to de-escalate. They've escalated to devastation. I mean, you have the Pope lecturing America about possible war crimes. You have the president, as you pointed out, threatening to destroy all power plants. I didn't think we would ever get to that point. You have the Strait of Hormuz that is now blocked. This never happened before the war. What have we achieved? Gas is up from $2.30 to $4. You have now Iran having a more hardline regime, as we just heard, and all our allies like UAE being hit. I mean, we've created devastation, and we're being lectured by the Pope.
But let me ask you, you've called the war, I think I have this correct, the biggest blunder in American foreign policy in the 21st century. If this gets to a resolution, I mean, if they actually, and I know that's a big if, but if they actually get to a resolution where Iran has given up its nuclear program and, you know, there is a peace deal, maybe even a peace deal with Lebanon, are you prepared to revise that and say that they actually got something out of it and it wasn't a blunder?
If we actually achieve something, but the enriched uranium is still there. We have a more hardline regime there. Khamenei Jr. actually wants to develop nuclear weapons. Does anyone believe that we actually have more leverage over the Strait of Hormuz? We have less. China has more.
Look at Ro Khanna's face here. He's not just talking politics. He's pointing out a massive logic gap that most of us are missing. We were told this was an escalate to de-escalate strategy, but look at the actual math. Gas prices jumped from $2.30 to $4 almost overnight. When you hear him talk about the Pope lecturing America on war crimes, you realize how isolated the current strategy has become. It's wild because he's framing this as the biggest blunder of the 21st century, even bigger than the conflicts we saw in the early 2000s. Pay attention to what he says about the enriched uranium. It's still there, but now we have even less leverage over the strait than we did before this all started. He's basically saying we traded our global moral credibility for a situation where China now has more influence in the region than we do. It's a sobering breakdown of how toughness without a plan just drains our own pockets while making our rivals stronger. This is where things get truly chaotic. Did you see that post at the end? Signing off a profanity-laced tirade with "Praise be to Allah" is some next-level psychological warfare, or maybe just total confusion. But look closer at the contradictions. One day, the message to CNN is that we're ahead of schedule. 48 hours later, he's telling Time magazine there is no limit to the bombardment. If you're the person tasked with explaining this to the world, how do you even start? It's not just the flip-flopping, it's the sheer scale of the threats. Talking about wiping out an entire civilization on a social media app while the markets are trying to stay stable is absolute madness. You can see the communication team is basically in a tailspin because they're getting their news from the same public feeds we are. It's like watching a pilot announce 3 different destinations while the plane is already mid-air. The uncertainty itself is the only consistent strategy we're seeing here.
12 hours ago, we expect that the strait will be opened immediately. As I've said earlier, we have seen an uptick in traffic in the strait, and it's something that we are monitoring.
Check out this specific moment in the briefing again. She's being asked who controls the strait today, and she has to cite a statement from 12 hours ago. In a war zone, 12 hours is an eternity. You can hear the hesitation in her voice when she tries to pivot to monitoring it minute by minute. It's clear she doesn't have a direct line to the decision makers. Think about how dangerous that is. If the person at the podium doesn't know if a major global choke point is open or closed, it means the internal flow of information has completely broken down. This isn't just about being unprepared for a question. It's about a White House that is intentionally keeping its own mouthpiece in the dark. It's a wait-and-see game being played with the highest possible stakes, and you can see the visible strain of someone trying to sound authoritative while being totally blindsided by her own boss. And here is the actual fallout of all that confusion. Iran just officially walked away from the table. When you see a peace deal headline get shredded like this, it's usually because the other side doesn't see a unified front. Why would they negotiate with a delegation that might change its leader every 24 hours? If you remember the reports about JD Vance being swapped out for Kushner and Witkoff at the last second, it makes sense why the trust is at zero. The Iranians are literally mocking the administration with Lego videos and memes now because they see the internal fighting. They're playing into the wedge between the president and the vice president to make the situation even more chaotic. It's a masterclass in how losing control of your internal narrative leads to losing your seat at the international table. We're watching a complete diplomatic collapse happen in real time, all while the domestic side is left wondering where the next $400 billion is going to come from.
Important clarification. I just got off the phone with President Trump. Yet again, he told me that Vice President Vance will not be leading the U.S. delegation to Islamabad. He said it's because of security. The Secret Service did not feel comfortable having the vice president go to Pakistan on 24 hours notice. He's added, JD is great. Now,
let's talk about the Vance situation for a second. The official line was security concerns from the Secret Service. But look at the timing. They gave 24 hours notice for a trip to Pakistan. That's not how international diplomacy works. It feels way more like a last-minute snub than a security issue. When you have reports coming out that the president was flip-flopping on whether his own VP should even be there, it sends a massive signal of weakness to the world. It's like the team can't even agree on who's in the starting lineup while they're already on the field. This level of public back and forth is exactly what fuels the White House collapse narrative. It's not just a rumor. It's a visible, documented lack of coordination that has real-world consequences for every troop on the ground and every taxpayer at home. Things are moving fast, and most of the real story is hidden in these raw clips. Make sure you're following for the next deep dive. Catch you in the next one.